Hello, my name is Michael. I'm a Swedish Christian who likes to combine signs and wonders with peace and justice. And you are watching the first part of my new YouTube series called God versus Wealth, where I am opposing the idea that there's nothing wrong with being rich. I've heard this theory a lot of times. Pastors and preachers and priests stating that as long as you don't worship your money, it's perfectly fine to be as wealthy as you want. And my question to that is, why on earth did Jesus say, "Woe to you who are rich," if there are no problems with being rich? Okay? Woe is not a positive word, right? It's actually a warning. Jesus is warning the rich people. Why is he doing that? Well, I think his brother James can give us some answers to that. In the 5th chapter of his letter, he is writing like this. "Now listen, you rich people, weep and wail because of the misery that is coming upon you. Your wealth has rotted, and moths have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver are corroded. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workmen who mowed your fields are crying out against you. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered innocent men who were not opposing you." Alright? James is saying that there is some problems with being rich, right? Now, he isn't talking to a certain group of rich people in a certain city somewhere. He's talking to all Christians. His letter is actually one of the few letters in the New Testament which is not written to a certain congregation but to the whole church. And he gives 3 reasons for the rich people to getting this suffering and misery that will come upon them. The first reason is that they have hoarded wealth. The second is that they have lived in luxury and self-indulgence, and the third is that they have fattened themselves. All right, so the sin and the sin that these rich people have committed is that they own wealth. You know, the simple fact that they have a lot of money is what causes them to experience this suffering. All right. And this is very interesting. You know, I've heard a lot of pastors saying that it's nothing wrong to be rich. The only wrong thing you can do is to be greedy or to worship your money. But James is saying that the simple fact that you live in luxury is a sin. And why is that? Well, he gives a key to that in verse 6. "You have condemned and murdered innocent men who were not opposing you." He's saying that rich people are murderers. And this is in fact more true than we perhaps want to admit. The UN Millennium Campaign is saying that every day 50,000 people die because of poverty. Alright? 50,000 every day. That's 1.5 million in a month, and 18 million in a year. It's a triple Holocaust, basically. Now, in such a situation, how can rich people spend their money on unnecessary things? How can they live in luxury? How can they keep their money for themselves instead of saving these people's lives? Now, there are a lot of good aid organizations that are helping poor people, and they got tools, they got knowledge. All they need is funding. Then how can rich people keep their money for themselves? 1 John chapter 3 verse 17 says, "If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him?" If we got money, we have to give them away to the poor. It is our duty as Christians. When we say that we should love our neighbors, we have to show it in action, and we cannot let this huge amount of people living in extreme poverty die every day. So that is why I'm totally convinced that it's wrong to be rich. When I talk about this, many misinterpret me. Now, many say, well, if we're not rich, we're not having anything to give to the poor. If we just quit our jobs and stop earning money, then we have nothing to give. Then we're just being poor ourselves. But I'm not saying that we should quit our jobs. In Ephesians chapter 4, in verse 28, Paul is saying that we must work, doing something useful with our own hands, that we may have something to share with those in need. Okay? So it's nothing wrong with earning money in itself. It could be a temptation to earn a lot of money, which is quite dangerous, because then the probability to keep your money for yourself increase. And there are some problems with me earning a lot of money when other people in the same organization or company earns much less money. That's problematic. But still, we are called to be servants as Christians. We are called to serve other people. And of course, if our work is righteous and we're doing good things, not destroying the environment or something, then of course we should work and earn money. And then we should give it away, because the issue is mainly what we do with our money when we've earned it. And that's what I'm discussing. Another common misinterpretation is that if we're not rich, we're poor. and many think that I am saying that we should be poor as Christians. But I'm actually convinced that there is a mid-level between wealth and poverty. Proverbs chapter 30 verse 8 says, "Give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me only my daily bread." And that's the mid-level we should strive for, when no one is rich and no one is poor, but everyone has what they need. Alright? That's what equality is about. 2 Corinthians chapter 8 also talks about this. Paul is urging the Corinthians to give money to the poor in Jerusalem. And then it says, "Our desire is not that others might be relieved while you are hard pressed, but that there might be equality." That's the goal. And equality is the topic that I'm going to discuss in the next part of my YouTube series. So if you want more teaching about this, check that out. God bless you.